She washed cars for a living, wore torn slippers, and ate from trash cans. But one day, a billionaire stopped his convoy and asked her one question. Do you want a job or a future? This isn't your typical love story. This is betrayal, revenge, and redemption like you've never seen before. Don't blink. This is the story the rich tried to bury. In the heart of Lagos, where glass towers scraped the clouds and cars glided like royalty on polished roads, Michael was a name everyone whispered with envy, the billionaire bachelor who had every woman wrapped around his finger, until he fell for a girl who smelled like dust and dreams. Her name was Olivia. She worked in a rundown car wash on the mainland. Her fingernails were always stained with oil, her face tired from hustle, and her clothes, never new. But her smile? It could silence thunder. They met by accident. Literally. Michael's car splashed water on her as she walked by barefoot. She looked at him, furious. And instead of yelling, she said, "You should be careful, not everyone enjoys being drenched in your wealth." That moment lit a spark. A man who had conquered companies, countries, and casinos, was stunned by a girl with mud on her slippers and no fear in her eyes. Days turned into weeks. He returned again and again, offering excuses to wash a spotless car, just to talk to her. And slowly, the billionaire fell hard for the girl who owned nothing but her dignity. Olivia tried to push him away. "We're from different worlds," she said, her hands trembling as she handed him change. But Michael didn't care about worlds. He cared about her soul. The world mocked him. Social media exploded. Billionaire dumps models for a gutter girl? But Michael didn't blink. For once, his heart made the decisions, not his billions. Isabella stood by Olivia's side. If he truly loves you, don't let your past define your future. And for the first time, Olivia began to believe she could be more than a mechanic's daughter. Meanwhile, in a penthouse suite uptown, Stella, Michael's ex, watched their love story unfold with rage burning in her chest. He left me for that thing? Stella wasn't just any ex. She was powerful, connected, and cruel. She had invested years into Michael, and she wasn't going to watch a dirty girl snatch her throne. Michael proposed in front of the ocean, in a garden he had built just for her. With shaky hands, Olivia said yes, tears running down her cheeks as the waves applauded. But as the engagement party approached, Stella's trap began to unfold. She hired a makeup artist, a hacker, and someone from Olivia's past. James, Michael's best friend, tried to warn him. "Bro, Stella's not done. She's coming for your piece." But Michael laughed. "She lost. We're moving forward." The engagement party was a fairy tale, golden chandeliers, silk drapes, violins. Olivia walked in wearing a dress worth more than her entire street. But her hands still shook. Then, it happened. A giant screen lit up. Photos flashed, doctored, edited, twisted. Olivia kissing a man she had never seen before. Gasps filled the room. Michael stood frozen. Olivia collapsed. "That's not me. I swear," she cried. But the room had already turned into a courtroom, and she was guilty until proven innocent. Stella stepped in, crocodile tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Michael. I told you she was using you. She wanted your name. Your wealth. I tried to warn you." But Isabella wasn't quiet. She stormed to the mic. "You want truth? I have it." She held up the original photos, the unedited ones. Stella's entire scheme, exposed. Michael's face turned to stone. He walked toward Stella, and in front of everyone, whispered, "You lost the moment I stopped loving you." Then security escorted her out. He turned back to Olivia, who was still crying on the floor, and lifted her gently. "You're not dirty. You're gold. And no lie will ever bury your worth again." The media flipped. Stella exposed. True love wins. But Olivia couldn't forget the humiliation. She stayed silent for days, lost in shame, even though the world was cheering for her now. Michael gave her space, but not distance. He sat by her every night, telling her stories about his childhood, trying to make her laugh, reminding her that her pain wasn't hers alone to carry. But someone else was watching closely. James. He had always loved Olivia from the moment she entered Michael's life. Quietly. Silently. Tragically. He had promised to be happy for them, but his heart wasn't listening. Every laugh Olivia shared with Michael felt like a stab. Every touch, a wound. One night, James confronted Michael. "What if you're not the one she needs?" he asked. Michael looked at him, and smiled. "Then I'll let her go, but only if she says so." But Olivia had made her choice long ago. She loved Michael, not for his money, but for the man who saw her value when she didn't even see it herself. Meanwhile, Stella wasn't done. Her reputation ruined, she plotted one last card. If she couldn't have Michael, maybe she could destroy everything he loved. She reached out to someone from Olivia's past, her estranged father, a drunk who once sold Olivia's school bag for cheap gin. The man showed up at Michael's mansion during wedding prep week, screaming lies about Olivia, claiming she had abandoned her family. Olivia broke down again. "I don't deserve this life," she sobbed. But Michael held her face gently. "Then let's build a life you do deserve. Together." The wedding day came. Rain poured like the heavens were testing them again. But Olivia walked down the aisle, barefoot, radiant, powerful, unashamed. Stella tried to crash the ceremony with police, armed with fake charges. But James stepped in this time. "You've done enough," he said, handing police the real evidence against her. The guests cheered. Justice had finally arrived. And in that moment, even James smiled, not for himself, but for the woman he loved, finally free. Michael placed a simple ring on Olivia's finger. "From this day, you'll never walk alone." And Olivia, with tears and laughter, said, "I never wanted wealth. Just someone who saw me." And with a kiss beneath the rain, two worlds, one polished, one broken, melted into one love story that money could never buy. In the months that followed, Olivia didn't just become Michael's wife, she became a queen in her own right, starting a foundation for girls from slums like hers. She hired Isabella as director. Together, they gave scholarships, mentorship, and hope. Olivia became what she never had, a chance. As for James, he found peace traveling. One day, on a quiet island, he met someone who didn't remind him of Olivia. And that was the beginning of his healing. Stella? She was sentenced to 5 years for defamation, hacking, and blackmail. Her last words in court? "He was supposed to be mine. But life had chosen differently. Love had chosen differently." And the poor, dirty girl? She had become something royalty could never fake, real. One evening, as Michael and Olivia stood on their mansion balcony, she whispered, "Do you ever regret picking me?" He kissed her forehead and said, "Regret? You were the only choice I ever made with my soul, not my wallet." And that night, as the stars blinked above them, two broken pieces finally became whole. Not because they were perfect, but because they chose each other, again and again. Marrying Michael changed Olivia's world, but becoming Mrs. Michael Darlington came with its own demons. Fancy events. Ruthless cameras. Fake friends. And whispers, she still doesn't belong. She tried to fit in. Perfect posture. Flawless makeup. Etiquette classes. But one evening, she broke down in the closet. "I miss dust. I miss being real." Michael found her there. He sat beside her, suit and all, and whispered, "You're still real, baby. Even if the world dresses you in diamonds, your heart stays yours." Then came the test no money could prepare them for. Olivia missed her period. 1, then 2. The pregnancy test turned positive, and the world changed again. Michael lifted her off the ground, spinning her in joy. "We're having a baby." But Olivia didn't smile. She looked down. "What if I mess this up, like my parents did?" As the news spread, the Darlington estate buzzed with preparations. But not everyone celebrated. Michael's mother, elegant and ice-cold, stared at the ultrasound photo and said, "Let's hope the child looks more like us." Olivia smiled politely, but inside, she felt the slap. No matter what she wore or carried in her womb, to some, she'd always be the dirty girl who got lucky. To make things worse, tabloids began speculating. Was she really pregnant? Is the baby his? Gold Digger 2.0? The pressure pushed Olivia to the edge. One night, she collapsed. Blood. Panic. Screams. Michael rushed her to the hospital, heart in his throat. "Please, don't take her or the baby," he whispered into the silence. Hours later, the doctor emerged. "She and the baby are stable, but she needs complete rest. Emotionally and physically." Michael nodded, but his world had just shifted. Michael became a different man. Cancelled meetings. Ignored calls. He built a nursery himself, every nail, every paint stroke, because Olivia needed more than a mansion. She needed presence. But peace is never permanent in paradise. Enter Valerie, young, brilliant, seductive. Michael's new international business partner. She smelled of ambition and danger. She didn't hide her intentions. Married men are the most loyal. Until they're not. Michael laughed nervously, but didn't correct her. Meanwhile, Olivia felt it. That shift. That emotional silence. One night, she found a red lipstick stain on Michael's collar. Not hers. She didn't scream. Didn't accuse. Instead, she called Isabella. "I need air," she whispered. "I need to remember who I was before the dresses and diamonds." They disappeared for a weekend. No phones. No makeup. Just two girls eating roasted corn by the roadside, laughing like they did before love got complicated. Meanwhile, Michael panicked. No Olivia. No calls. No sleep. He realized too late, Valerie was a storm, but Olivia was the sun. He drove for hours until he found her. No guards. No cameras. Just him, kneeling before the woman who saved his life and almost lost hers for his child. "I forgot who I was without you," he said. "And I forgot who you were before me. Forgive me, not as your husband, but as your fool." They returned home stronger. But something still lingered, James. Back from abroad, standing at the gate, holding a box. Inside? A letter, and a secret Olivia never expected. James stepped into the mansion like a ghost from another life. Michael offered him a polite nod. Olivia, she stared at the box in his hands like it held a bomb. He opened it slowly. Letters. Old photos. A necklace. And one piece of paper that made Olivia gasp. It was her mother's handwriting. "She knew she was dying," James said softly. "She gave this to my mom. Said if anything ever happened, to find you. But we were kids, and I forgot. Until now." The letter was short. Just 4 lines. "Don't let your pain define you. Let it refine you. Love deeply. And never let money silence your heart." Olivia hugged James tightly. "Thank you. For this." Michael watched quietly. He knew what it meant, closure. And maybe, forgiveness. But fate wasn't done. That night, Olivia's water broke. Chaos erupted. Michael flew down the stairs shirtless, screaming for the driver. "She's in labor." The delivery was long. Complicated. Alarms went off. Olivia faded in and out. Michael never let go of her hand. "If you go, I go with you." Then, a cry. One sharp, powerful, beautiful cry. The doctor smiled. "It's a girl. And she's strong." They named her Amani, meaning peace. Because she came from chaos, and brought calm. She was proof that broken people could build something whole. Weeks later, Olivia stood on a stage at the launch of her new foundation, From Dust to Diamonds. Amani in her arms. Michael beside her. the world watching. To every girl who has ever been called dirty, unwanted, nothing, she said. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle waiting to rise. As the audience erupted in applause, Michael whispered in her ear, now do you see why I chose you? Olivia smiled. Now I see why I chose me. From a car wash to a castle, from rejection to redemption. Olivia's journey wasn't about marrying a billionaire. It was about becoming her own legacy. As they walked Imani through the garden one evening, Olivia looked at Michael. Do you ever wish you married someone like you? She asked softly. He paused, then smiled. I did. You're stronger than anyone I've ever known. Imani let out a small cry. Michael took her gently. She looks like you, he whispered. Olivia laughed. Poor thing, already called dirty by strangers, and she can't even talk yet. But she won't live like we did, Olivia said, voice firm now. She'll walk into any room with her head up, and she'll know exactly who she is. The next morning, Olivia stood before a crowd of girls, just like she once was, dirty, hungry, invisible. I was you. And they told me I'd never be more than dust. But dust can rise. And I did. She hugged one little girl who asked, can I be like you one day? Olivia smiled. You'll be better. You'll be free. James watched from afar, leaning on the school gate. He smiled, not the smile of a man who lost, but one who finally let go. As he left, a woman in a head wrap approached him. Are you James? He nodded. She smiled. Your mother said you're looking for peace, maybe I am too. Back in court, Stella sat in a prison jumper, head held high but spirit broken. The judge read her sentence, 5 years. Her eyes searched for Michael, but he wasn't there. Only Olivia came to watch. As Stella was led away in chains, Olivia whispered, I don't hate you. I just don't carry you anymore. Months passed. The estate was filled with joy again. Baby Imani laughed louder. Michael loved deeper. And Olivia lived freer, because the pain didn't break her, it built her. She no longer feared the label dirty. Because the world forgot. It's the dirty soil that grows the most beautiful things. And as she watched her daughter take her first step, Olivia smiled. Not because she won a rich man, but because she became the kind of woman no one could erase. And as the sun set that evening, Olivia stood outside the foundation, watching little girls in uniforms dance in the courtyard. Her eyes sparkled. She had changed their world, by surviving hers. In the end, the world called her dirty. But life crowned her queen, and no amount of money, lies, or pain could ever take that away. This wasn't just about love. Or wealth. This was about choosing worth. Choosing healing. Choosing yourself. Because the dirtiest soil grows the most beautiful things.